So this is my new swamp cooler that I've installed over the past month or so. It's a Master Cool ASA7112. It's a whole house version. It's rated up to 2,300 square feet. My house is actually about 2,400 square feet, so I'm right at the limit there, and it's been very good so far. It's working great up to I think the hottest day we've had. It's gotten up to about maybe 95 degrees or so. Very low humidity. That's where it's going to work best. If you've got pretty high humidity, this is not the solution for you. And it's actually running right now, so you can hear it. It's on low. It's not that loud, especially outside here. I've mostly finished up here with the install, but I'll kind of go through and show you what I did. So this wooden frame you see underneath that, I built that myself just out of 2x6s and a few 2x4s. It's a pretty simple frame, and it's holding it up pretty well so far. The cooler itself weighs about 300 pounds fully loaded. And that seems to support it just fine. It's held into the wall there with 3/8 lag bolts, 8 of them, into the studs, holding a 2x6 board across that the other boards are then attached to. And then, yeah, I built that and mounted it myself. There's a trick to getting that 300-pound swamp cooler up there by yourself. It's just to disassemble the entire thing. You can take it down to each one of those sheet metal panels, as well as the blower and the pump, and bring them up one by one on a ladder. So that's what I did. And then you can see down below, there's the drain. So it actually drains out of a 3/4 inch hose connector, but I have converted that into 1/4 inch tubing just to keep it simple. And then that goes into a drain pipe and over to a dry well that I dug. So that's a big hole full of gravel, and that's all it drains into. I haven't had any drainage issues. As you can see, there's no water or anything pulling up here. All the water is going into this pipe here when the pump is on. Let's see, just drains off a little bit. I have it on the most restrictive bleed setting, so it's not bleeding that much water. But you can adjust that to bleed more if you're having issues with scale. You can see I've got my wiring coming through and my water supply. They go up to it. I'm not totally satisfied with how that looks, so I may do something to cover that up, hide it a little bit better, maybe even paint it to match the color. But you know, it's fine for now. It works. And that's 12/4 cable, and that'll give you all the different modes. You know, pump, low, high, etc. There's the water supply line. So again, I use 1/4 inch tubing, and that just goes along the house for quite a ways out to a spigot that I have out there. If you have a spigot closer, that's definitely recommended. One of my plans is to put one a little bit closer so I don't have this tubing going all the way around the house, but it's fine. It actually works. And let's just go around. I'll give you a close-up on the construction of this frame here. You can see it's pretty simple, just 2x6s, 2x4s. And then I used some brackets just for a little bit of extra strength. Most of it's constructed with framing nails, but then I put screws in just to, you know, tighten everything up and keep it secure, keep those nails from backing out. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty. Once you've seen it, it's pretty easy to apply it to your own situation. I purposely made it slightly smaller than the cooler itself, just to give a bit of an overhang there. to keep water off it. And so far, water hasn't been an issue. Although being in Idaho here, there's not much rain to speak of, so that makes it simple. And then you may be able to see it in here. So there's the duct that I have. So the way that I have it going into the house is the simplest way possible. I just cut a 21-inch square hole in my wall, and I had a custom duct made that fits inside that. The opening in the swamp cooler itself for ductwork is 19 3/4 inch square. So that's what I had the duct made to, and then I attached it to the cooler itself and poked that duct through the hole that I made in the wall. And I just kind of framed out that hole with plywood. You can't see it from here, but that's what's inside of it, is just plywood. And then I put a waterproofing membrane that I had some extra from working on my shower, just to keep water out. That's probably overkill because it's covered by the roof, so water's really shouldn't be getting in there anyways. But it is a good idea, anything that's exposed to the outside, to have some sort of waterproofing, at least a good layer of paint like the rest of the frame here has. And then yeah, just to see that. So that was actually the first piece that went on there when I was moving this up to the frame, was that front bottom piece of sheet metal that had the duct attached to it. And you'll see what I mean once you get yours. Once yours arrives and you go to put some sort of ductwork on the front, you'll see how it fits together. But yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. If you're gonna mount one of these on the roof, it's gonna be really hard to access it. So you have these two panels right here in the front. That panel, you can slide it up to remove it to get access to the inside of it, the pump and everything. So periodically, and the media, of course. This is the 12-inch media version. There's also an 8-inch, but I assume the 12-inch works better. It's going to be, the unit's going to be longer. This unit is pretty massive, but I think the 12-inch media probably works better. Otherwise there'd be no point to it being bigger, I guess. So, and it is more expensive. At the time, the price difference was pretty negligible, but now it's pretty significant. I just looked a week or two ago, and it had shot up in price for whatever reason. I bought this one from Home Depot. I think they sell it from a couple, they sell it at Lowe's, they sell it at Home Depot, they sell it all over. And then again, you've got this same access panel on the other side to get access to the blower and whatnot. But if you put this on the roof, like I was saying, it's going to be really difficult, especially here where I've got this horribly sloped metal roof. I would not want to. I would like to get up there as little as possible. So putting this on the wall seems like a much better option to me. And supposedly the wall units are more efficient anyways, so that's good. And it's way less work to do the ductwork from the wall because it just vents into one location. There is no, you don't have to go into the attic and then go down to the ceiling. It just goes straight through the wall. It's like 8 inches long, basically. I mean, I think the duct that I had made was 10 inches long. And as you can see, there's probably 4 inches extra. So my wall is about 6 inches thick. So it's barely any work to get it into your house. So I guess next I'll go inside and kind of show you where it comes through the wall and the setup that I have on the inside. Alright, so here we are in the inside, and this is it on low. So it's pretty loud if you're right in front of the unit, but in the rest of the house I don't really. It kind of sounds like you're running the washing machine or something. And let's go through the different modes and see what it sounds like. So right now it's on low. Let's put it on high. You can see it's quite a bit louder. Oh, just a kind of a water running sound. No big deal. Turn it off. And so yeah, so here's the switch right here. Obviously that's what I'm using. So that's where all the electrical connectors, power comes into this from whatever circuit you're using. I just have it running off one of my outlets. A really good idea if you're looking for power and you don't want to add another circuit, if you have like a baseboard heater circuit, you can use that as long as it's, you know, if your baseboard heaters are 240, you're going to need to get a 240 volt pump to run your swamp cooler on 240. But if you have, you know, 120 volt baseboard heaters like I do, run the, you know, add the swamp cooler onto the baseboard heater circuit, because you're never going to be using the baseboard heaters and the swamp cooler at the same time. So you're not going to overload that circuit by trying to power them both on there. So that would be a pretty efficient way to do it. You get your cooling and your heating on one circuit, and you shouldn't have those baseboard heaters on when you're considering using the swamp cooler. And you know, as you can see, I haven't patched up the drywall yet. I cut out a big hole here, way bigger than the actual opening I needed, because I wasn't sure quite, you know, where the studs were going to line up. I didn't know where the power was going to come through. I had a lot of things up in the air before this, because cutting this hole was basically the first thing I did, because I needed to position this before I could start building the frame on the outside. I had to know where everything was going to line up. So that's what I did. I cut too big of a hole, but no big deal. You know, I just reused that drywall, and this will all be good. I just need to go through with mud and patch up these lines here. And then this thing around the edge, I built a little frame out of plywood strips, and then I put a screen on the inside of it. So it completely covers that hole, so it covers the entire duct as well as the space between the duct and the frame itself. So that's perfect. It keeps everything out. There's no bugs that get through here into my house. There aren't many that come through, as you can see. You know, I've been running it for a couple weeks now, and this is mostly just, you know, little leaf debris and stuff. So there's a little bit of that comes through. Very much expected. That stuff's going to get sucked in and just sent right into your house if you don't have a screen here. But you know, it's not a huge mess. I mean, you'd probably have to vacuum it, you know, once a week or something. If you didn't have a screen here to catch it, it would make a mess, you know, wherever you have the opening for the swamp cooler. As far as bugs, I've only seen one of those nasty box elder beetles today, actually. So I'm climbing. Oh, and like a moth. I saw a moth. I don't know how a moth gets in here, because the holes are way too big, way too small for a moth to get through. But somehow, you know how bugs are. They'll find a way into anywhere. But they got stopped by the screen, so that's perfect. So I mean, basically what I did is I just drilled. I have this plywood framing around the hole, and I just drilled holes, you know, in the corners and then in the middle. And I glued the nut into the plywood frame, and then I just have these machine screws, so I can actually just, whenever I want to remove this screen, just remove these screws and then take the frame off, and it holds it secure until then. And then what I'm planning to do is I'm going to make another solid plywood frame, so it won't be open like this one. It'll just be a solid piece of plywood, and then put a foam insulation plug on the inside of it for the winter. So I'll take this screen off, and I'll put the solid, insulation plug version on there for the winter, and seal this all up when I'm not using the swamp cooler. And then, figure out how to paint it or whatever to match it, or, my brother-in-law suggested putting painting over it would be the simplest solution, so maybe I'll do that. That is pretty simple. And yeah, that's what it looks like. I don't think it'll look too bad, once I get this drywall patched up. However you do it, you are going to have a big hole, so maybe if you wanted it to look even better, you could get some sort of professional vent built for this, or find one for a HVAC system that would fit, make it look like some sort, like almost like a mini split or something. That would look pretty good. And you don't have to put the switch right by it. You can put the switch basically wherever. You just have to have the wiring going out to the swamp cooler from there. So wherever it makes sense to have that is where you put the switch. I like to put it right by it because it makes it easy to remember what's going on. And I guess so. Finally, I'll go around. I probably won't do this today. I'll do this on another day, but I'll go around next and just show you what kind of temperatures I'm getting outside and then inside, and then maybe the humidity as well. So here we are. We've got our outside temperature here right at where the swamp cooler's at. We've got 90.3 degrees, 22% humidity. So you can see we're pretty much prime conditions for a swamp cooler to work. So we've got it running, and we're gonna set this same thing up inside in a couple different rooms and show you what the temperature difference is like. Alright, so here we are in the kitchen, and you can see the temperature here. It's pretty comfortable in here. There's the nice breeze from the swamp cooler. Got a little bit better humidity. And yeah, this is normally one of the hottest rooms in the house. It's facing south, and it's got these big picture windows in it. So I'd say this is pretty comfortable for me. So let's take it down around to a couple different rooms and see what it's like up there. So here we're on the totally opposite side of the house. Upstairs is actually the furthest from the swamp cooler you can get in my house. It's around quite a few turns through some doorways in my little workshop here, and it's a mess. Don't worry about that. But you can see it's a little bit warmer than I'd probably like in here, 76.5. And again, this is on low, so if I wanted, I could turn the cooler up to high, and this would probably drop down to 70 or maybe even a little bit less. But I'm fine with this because I don't really use this room too much. So if you are experiencing temperatures like this in a room that you use pretty frequently, you would might need to do something to solve that. Might need to turn it up, or fix your airflow, close the window somewhere else, something like that. But let's move on. Alright, and here we are in my office. Again, upstairs, one of the hotter rooms on the south side of the house. Sitting at about 75 degrees, 49% humidity. It feels pretty comfortable to me. I'm normally okay with temperatures up to about 78 or so, and there is the nice breeze from the fan going. So I think it's pretty comfortable. If you want lower temperatures, you would have to crank it up to high. And you would need kind of optimal conditions for the swamp cooler to be running. So you need a low outside humidity, just like I have here. And again, this house is on the upper edge of what you can cool with this thing. It's 2,400 square feet, and the swamp cooler is only rated for 2,300 square feet. Of course, I do have a couple rooms closed off, so I'm probably sitting right around 2,300 square feet of actual cooled area with it. But yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I'm very comfortable in any room in the house right now. If it does keep getting hotter here, and I'm sure it will, it'll probably, in late July, August, it'll probably start getting up around 100, maybe a little bit more. So I'll probably have to turn it up to high on at least a couple days here, probably for a week or two in early August. But so far I'm very happy with this thing. It's been making my house much more comfortable. Last year I didn't have anything, and compared to not having anything, last year in my kitchen, there were days where it would get up to 86 or something in my kitchen. Very, very stuffy, very uncomfortable. So this is a huge improvement. So I do recommend these swamp coolers if you've got the conditions for it. They're not too difficult to install. And it wasn't that expensive either. The whole setup cost me, all in with all the work I had to do to install it, the swamp cooler itself, all the tubing and electrical and everything. It was under $2,000. So I don't think you can do better than that as far as a whole house cooling solution. And as far as the electric bills, I haven't even noticed anything on them. My last bill was like $55 or something. So these are very, very cheap to run. Compared to a central AC system, you're probably looking at, if I was cooling my whole house with central air, probably, I don't know, $300 or $400 would be the bill. I could see that. I don't really know for sure, but based on what I've seen from other people's bills, that's what I would suspect. So yeah, thanks for watching, and good luck with your own. If you're considering one of these, feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about the unit or need some help, and I'll try to get back to you. We'll put in the description some of the additional stuff that you're going to need to install one of these things to help you out. Yeah,